So hey guys, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. I'm so excited to bring you this interview where I share multifamily investing strategies with attorney Charles Dobbins. He is a multifamily real estate investor, attorney, coach, mentor to real estate investors. And we just have a super fun conversation about multifamily investing. We're going to talk about earnest money deposits. We're going to talk about proof of funds letters. We're going to give you strategies for when a commercial broker asks you for a proof of funds letter and tells you, hey, I can't give you this deal unless you give me a proof of funds letter, how to overcome that. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to recruit key players, KPs, key personnel for your multifamily deals. So if you find a big deal, let's say a $5 million, $10 million asset that you want to buy, but you don't have you don't have the balance sheet, you don't have the income, the liquidity to be able to take that deal down, and a key partner, a key personnel to sponsor that loan for you. We also have multiple strategies we talk about recruiting capital. Charles and I also talk about our 3 favorite things we like to do in our due diligence process. You're going to hear more about that. And we also talk about some of the horror stories about Charles's first deal, where he talks about how he assumed a loan, how he had phantom leases, and how he had an exodus of tenants. So you're really going to enjoy this interview with Charles Dobbins, where we talk about the entire process of investing in large multifamily apartments. Take a listen.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So Charles, listen, I'm so excited to have you on the Accelerated Investor Podcast. You and I have been trying to get this scheduled for months.
I cannot believe it's you. I can't. It's like, is that really you?
I can't believe it's you. So my audience understands, Charles and I have each probably canceled on each other 4 times, but for very legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
He's with his students. He's doing deals. I'm with my students. We're doing deals. Actually,
neither one of us said, "Oh no, not that guy again."
Yeah, last week we're supposed to record. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go see this 112 unit building. I got to cancel again. So Charles, I'm super excited to have you on today. So let's jump in, man. Tell our audience something that you're working on right now, something that's getting you juiced up, something that's giving you motivation and passion. Obviously, there's so much weird stuff going on with COVID and the election and riots and protests, but there's so many awesome entrepreneurs that are making hay, that are having success, regardless of what's going on with the exterior. So tell me about you. What are you excited for right now, Charles?
Well, for the last 10 years or so, one of my major focuses has been on my legal and consulting practice, what I call a multifamily investing academy, and my own informed program. I've helped so many students buy apartments and doing it the right way. And, I'll tell you something. I am the best when it comes to transactional law, understanding multifamily transactions, getting people through the whole point. And that's what I've been teaching over the last 10 years. And there's always been one aspect of it that has just been kind of like on the sidelines and just kind of missing. And that's raising the private money. And obviously that is crucial. You cannot have one without the other. Those students that just go out looking for deals and thinking, oh, the money's going to appear if I find a good deal. No, you got to build the business the right way. You got to build both sides. And I finally got together with an old dear friend of mine, Jillian Sidoti, who I call the securities attorney to the stars. And she and I are are now doing a multifamily war room. We did our first event a couple of weeks ago. It was phenomenal. And we've now created a system for investors, multifamily investors, to come in and build the business holistically, both sides, raising the money and finding the deals, putting it all together so they get across the finish line. And I got to tell you something, Josh, we already have a couple of students under contract already, and we just got going.
Nice.
That just gets me so fired up. Cool stuff. Cool.
Love it. Fantastic. So you said a couple things I want to kind of peel back the onion on. You said investing in multifamily and doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So help me understand, Charles, what do you define as doing it the wrong way?
Okay. Well, first off, when you said you went out to see a 112 unit, I immediately had a little bit of PTSD to a 116 unit that I once owned, which I got to tell you, it was one of the first deals I ever did. We did everything wrong. We did everything wrong. And that's, I learned so much from that experience that I make sure none of my students make those same mistakes again. And that's what I say is like, listen, work with me. I've already made all the mistakes and you won't. And I'll tell you, it was an assumption. And if you don't know the fine print on an assumption, you're going to get yourself into trouble. It was there was phantom leases going on. There was fraud involved by the seller. There was it went on too long. It had every aspect that you can imagine wrong right from the very beginning, even the quality of the asset. I'm telling you, Josh, I could spend a whole entire podcast just talking about this one property and all the mistakes that were made on this one property. We could be here all day.
Right.
Yeah. And let me tell you, you would love every story about it. I mean, even the time that the copper piping got stolen from my chiller boiler from the same property. It all happened on the same property.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
So helping these students do deals the right way, especially new students kind of getting into their first larger multifamily asset, could be residential guys pivoting to commercial apartments or guys just jumping in right away into commercial apartments. One of the things I wish I had done at a much younger age, I'm happy to be doing it now. We've got 2,800 doors. We love syndicating and co-syndicating. It's fun. But I wish I would have done it sooner. I know a big part of your training is helping people gain the confidence to really execute. Yeah. So help me understand that part because it really starts up here. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, to hear some of these people who have had successes in other parts of their life come into the multifamily world and feel like, oh, I can't talk to a broker. I don't know what I'm going to say. He knows this is my first time on the job. He knows I don't have any money. I said, listen, if what you're lacking is confidence, use me. I am your partner. Pick up the phone and we'll call the broker. You listen to how I do it. I'll walk you through it. You'll hear me do it. And as I tell people, you will trip over your tongue the first 5 times you speak to a broker. After that, you're going to be a silver-tongued fox. You're going to be able to wow them because it's all the same stuff. It's just all the same stuff. And it's just understanding and anticipating what type of questions they're going to ask. And, any step, I say what my job is to remove the roadblocks that prevent people from buying multifamily. And I know what the roadblocks are because I've done so many deals and the roadblocks are always the same.
Yeah.
Proof of funds letter, earnest money deposit, having a KP to help you qualify, helping you find all the money that you need to get the deal done. Those are the roadblocks. Once you do that, I tell this to my students all the time. Once I've helped you through 2 deals, you're not going to need me anymore. We're just friends. We're just friends, and that's it. And that's how it works in this business. And this is Josh, as you know, this is the greatest business in the world to be in.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it, and I already spoke to somebody about it earlier today, is that we're all friends. I mean, I'm going to work with you. I might buy your deal later on. I might sell you a deal. It's like we all are in this thing together. It's like no other business I've ever been involved in is the way that multifamily investors work with other multifamily investors. It's cool.
No doubt. So cool. I love it. It's definitely a team game, right? So let's peel back the onion a little bit on some of these roadblocks because if some of our audience doesn't know what these are. So obviously proof of funds letter. So I just talked yesterday with this 112 unit, made an offer on it, asking 6.1, offered 5.6, and they're asking for proof of funds, and they're asking for, make your best offer with earnest money deposit. Can you qualify for a loan? Actually, it's the first time we bought a deal where we got Charles, we got the questionnaire where they ask us like 10 questions, and we have to fill them out just to qualify.
And this is a 112 unit property? Wow.
Yeah, the guy's being a little bit tight. I think it's a little bit too much for a $6-7 million deal. But
it's like, the broker, it's like the broker's first day on the job. Like, I'm going to be Mr. Giant Broker and I'm going to prove my worth.
And actually, this is a deal we bought multiple deals from the broker before. So I think it's more the seller potentially. Because the seller's got 750 units and he's letting go of this first tranche of it. And so I think he's thinking, look, if I let go of this first tranche, this buyer might be a buyer for the rest of my stuff. So he's thinking pretty big, pretty long term. So he's trying to qualify us up front. And we want to qualify up front because I want to have a shot at the other 650 units too. And so that's a big part of it, right? But the keys here is proof of funds, earnest money deposit, your KP. What is a KP? Tell us about that for the people that might not know.
Let's take it step by step. Let's start it at the beginning with the proof of funds letter.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. So the guy calls you up, and he's never worked with it before, and he wants a proof of funds letter. I get this all the time from my students. Now, early on in my career, I ran up against this and I realized this is a roadblock. Now they never even ask me for a proof of funds letter. And I think it has a lot to do with the level of confidence the broker has when he speaks to you. He knows that you know what you're talking about. You've been through this before. He's not going to insult you by asking you for a proof of funds letter. If they ask you for a proof of funds letter, it's typically the broker's attempt to prove his worth to the seller. He wants to say, listen, I've already qualified this person. I got a proof of funds letter. A proof of funds letter is as useless as the paper it's already been written on. It means absolutely nothing. So there are two ways to handle it. You can either push back on the broker by asking him some questions about the proof of funds. Like, do you want a hard proof of funds or a soft proof of funds? Do you know the difference, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. So...
Well, let me just tell you something. Most brokers don't. Okay,
right. So
they just cave.
What do you mean? Like I'm playing like the broker, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean hard proof of funds or soft proof of funds?
Oh, well, listen, if you don't know what kind you need, I mean, that would have been a real problem for me to have to go back to my bank and get a proof of funds letter that doesn't meet what you're looking for. I want to know exactly what it is that you're looking for in the proof of funds letter before I go out and get it. So what exactly are you looking for? When you push it back on the broker, I'll tell you, Josh, I had this blog post that it fell off my thing. It was the funniest blog post, but it had to do with proof of funds letters, and it had to do with Monty Python's Chasm of Death. Where they come up and say, you have to answer 3 questions, like, what is your name? Sir Lancelot of Camelot. What is your favorite color? Blue. No, red. The guy gets throws into the chasm of death. That's what it's like when the broker asks you for a proof of funds letter. Just push it back on him and say, well, like because the gatekeeper of the chasm of death, they asked him, well, what do you mean? What's the wing speed of a North American swallow? Well, is it a pregnant one or not? And the guy says, I don't know. And he goes flying in the chasm of death. That's what you got to do with the broker, is push back on him and say, well, what exactly are you looking for? Why do you need this? Because remember, what you're actually doing by giving the broker a proof of funds letter is you are allowing the broker to have a tool to discriminate against you.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great way to put it. I've never heard it put that way, but that's really powerful.
That's what he's doing. And so you can either allow him to do that, or you can make him justify why he has to do that. And just always think about it that way. Because remember, what you're doing by a proof of funds letter is you're showing the enemy, or you're giving the enemy bullets for his gun.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. So I pushed back on the proof of funds. And I had this one student of mine, she was a dear lady. Every single deal that she made an offer on, they wanted to see a proof of funds.
Yeah.
You know what was going on. They were listening to her talk, and they weren't confident. I said, let me get on the phone. I want to talk to the broker and watch how I do the deal and submit the offer. And she got on the phone with me. She listened to the way I talk, and sure enough, the broker didn't even dare ask me for a proof of funds.
You're right.
And we moved right on past it. And she's like, oh, man. And it all had to do with she just totally lacked confidence in herself.
Yeah.
And my job is to get her over that roadblock.
My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast.
That's fantastic. So KPs, right? So KPs are important. A lot of guys can raise money. A lot of guys can find deals. Some guys don't have the balance sheet to be a KP. What is a KP? And how do you help locate one if you're maybe good at raising money or good at finding deals, but don't necessarily have the balance sheet to qualify for a big, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac sort of loan for a deal?
Yeah.
Help us understand that from your perspective.
So back before 2008, if you could fog a mirror, you could get a multifamily mortgage. I mean, everybody was selling you them. After 2008, when the market crashed, they started getting tougher on the underwriting, and they got tougher on this requirement of a KP, a key principal. And the key principal is someone that meets certain financial requirements and experience requirements that Fannie and Freddie or any of the big GSEs want to see in order for you to qualify for the loan. So if you've never done a multifamily deal before and you're looking to do a $5 million Fannie Mae loan, guess what? I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get approved. Okay? But don't worry about it. What we would do for you is we put the whole package together so that you do get qualified. I have over 200 clients, many of whom qualify as a KP, and they will partner with you on the deal. And just so we can give you a definition of a KP is someone that meets a balance sheet requirement, a liquidity requirement, and an experience requirement. And I just say those three things without putting any numbers on them because the numbers vary based upon the size of the deal.
Right.
What this KP is going to do, and when I connect my students with some of my KP clients, I tell my students, I said, listen, I'm going to introduce you to this person as a KP, but your deal must be a non-recourse deal.
Right.
They won't do a personal recourse. No KPs will do a personal recourse. It has to be a non-recourse deal. So if you're dealing with a local lender, it's not going to work. You're going to have to qualify on your own. But the KPs that I present they always do non-recourse loans. And just so everybody understands, non-recourse means that in the event that the deal caves, and they take the property back, and listen, I'm not so proud. I owned property back in 2008, 2009. This has happened to me. When they take it back, they don't come after you for any deficiency unless you have breached what we call the bad boy provisions. And those bad boy provisions like fraud, waste, abuse, all those types of things are typically about 6. I think they're up to about 6 bad boy provisions now. If you breach any of those, you have also signed a personal guarantee that only gets triggered in the event that they come after you for those breaches. So it's not really a non-recourse; it's a partial non-recourse. So so we get you covered with the KP as well to get you across the finish line, and that's a whole thing. It's all you're doing is putting the deal together and crossing the T's,
bringing in the partners. We closed the deal last August, my friend Jack and I was co-syndicating, co-sponsoring the deal, and it was Jack's first big deal. So $10 million, $9.2 million purchase, $6 million of soft costs and renovations and capex, all in for $9.8 million. And right before the deal closed, the bank told Jack, because he didn't have experience with that kind of deal, said, "Look, you got to bring in a KP." So another friend of ours, his name was Augustino, just steps in, says, "I'll be your KP." Gave Augustino 1% of the deal. Augustino didn't require a lot. It was non-recourse. Boom. Right. Yeah. So you have different people playing different roles in that deal. Jack and I have partnered on a lot of other stuff. I told Jack, I don't want to be a KP for this deal. I've got other roles and responsibilities in this deal. I've already kind of got my sort of agreed upon equity, our joint venture, it's not really worth it to me to necessarily step in as a KP, bring in someone else, because I wanted Jack to kind of feel like, hey, I've got to be the quarterback and bring in the right players, put them in the right seat, put them in the right position. He did that. Now that deal is going to refinance probably in December of this year, 18 months later. Value is going to come in at about 14.2 million with the CapEx and the value add that we've done, jacked up the rents. And we're going to cash out, refi everybody, and pull about 800 grand out of that deal. Now that deal fails unless Jack sources a KP, right? So that's the
to do the refi?
No, to do the purchase.
Initial one. Yes. Yep, exactly. And when you tell Jack, I say to my students, I say, listen, you're going to give away a piece of the deal to get the KP in to get the deal done. You're going to do that for maybe 2, maybe 3 deals. And then guess what? I'm tapping you on the shoulder to be someone else's KP. Because now you qualify. So, it's just everybody. That's a beautiful thing about this business. We all work together to make it happen.
Pull everybody up. The other piece that you mentioned was the private money side. And I love the fact that you said at the beginning, you can't just find a great deal and the money will follow, because it takes time to build relationships with the money, to get somebody interested in investing. Because, look, when I interviewed Kevin O'Leary for this podcast, when I talked to Kevin Harrington for this podcast, guys from Shark Tank, Barbara Corcoran for this podcast, they all said the same thing, which was, look, when we invest in somebody, and they have to have a great idea, but we're really investing on Shark Tank. We're really investing in them as the entrepreneur. Yeah. So the question becomes, is not just the deal. It's not like Shark Tank. You have a great business. You have a great new idea or great invention. You also have to invest in the jockey, the guy that's driving the deal. And so talk to me a little bit more about that, Charles. What's your perspective on what mistakes are people making when they're doing it wrong? What are they doing right when they get it right? When it comes to the private capital, building the relationships to put that piece of the puzzle together.
Okay. Biggest mistake they make is they don't realize that this is a business. They are in a business. The property is nothing more than a factory that produces a product, and the product are leases. The leases are what we get paid on. So you have to look at this thing from the whole picture. You have to know how to read a financial statement. You have to know how to manage, cash flow and what have you. This is a business. It's not like a single family fix and flip. Now you're in a business. And so that's the biggest mistake I see people making. And all businesses require 2 things: systems that generate profit and cash. When a business is out of cash, it's out of business. I got a phone call from one of my students the other day, and he says, Charlie, listen, I got a situation. I want to know if you can help me out with it. I said, he says, about 2 years ago, I sold one of my properties, made a lot of money. I needed to do a 1031 exchange. I was looking around for a deal. I find this guy who's doing a multifamily transaction. He's willing to change some of the ownership structure to make it a tick, and I can move my money in. It was great. I dumped it in, and I just got a phone call from him, and in 4 days, they're going to foreclose on the property.
Oh,
and I know, Josh.
Dagger in the heart.
Right, but when you hear that in today's marketplace, what's your first thought?
My first thought is, how did you not know much sooner?
Okay. First off, that wasn't what I was looking for, but let's talk about that for a second, because I said to this guy, I said, he didn't just find out 4 days ago that he's getting foreclosed on. He's known for months.
Oh, maybe a year, maybe longer, right? Because he knew before the actual bank knew that he was going to start missing payments, that something was going on with the leases. And there was probably some CapEx that wasn't done that pissed off the tenants who didn't pay the rent.
Okay. In a normal world, everything you said would be right. But we're in a COVID world right now. So
sure.
And let me explain that in just a moment. But, you think to yourself, we're in a pretty frothy multifamily market right now. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time I've heard anybody getting their deal foreclosed on. I mean, back in 2008, you go to any of the special servicer websites and they got pages and pages of multifamily deals being foreclosed on. What did this guy do wrong?
Right.
What did he do wrong that he's losing his property? And I listened to his tale of woe, and I said, here's what you did wrong. You went into this deal. It was a value add proposition. It was you're going to do a rehab and you're going to start to drive the rents. But you didn't raise the money ahead of time. You were going to do the rehab on current cash flow, meaning, I made $2,000 this month. I'm going to go plow it back into my property. Rehab deals do not work that way. The power of the cap rate, the velocity of money is it's so much easier to raise all the money you need up front, fix all the units, build up the rent, get the hell out as fast. And he didn't do that. He goes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I said, so what happened? How did this happen so fast? Listen to this, Josh. And this is, how it's happening now. They get through, Fannie and Freddie, through the dust lenders, they get that 90-day forbearance from the government for COVID. They get an opportunity for another 90 days after the first round, but it's not guaranteed. And what happened in this case was this guy's deal had been on the blocks for a while. The bank was not liking what they were seeing for a while. And when he applied for that second round of 90 days, the bank looked at him and said, you know what, we're just not going to do it. We're just going to take the property back because, you just can't even keep the thing going right now. And that's how it happened.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Yeah, I totally agree, Charles. We definitely, every deal we do, we recruit all the capital up front, down payment, all the lender fees, all the soft costs, all the CapEx. It sits in the account. You might have to pay interest on that. Fine, who cares? Paying the limited partners for that. But you've got to be able to, as soon as there's a unit that becomes available, turn that unit, common spaces, execute your business plan, whether it's the insides, the outsides, the roofs, the windows, whatever it is, and harden the asset as soon as possible, fast as possible, let's say within the first 6 months to 18 months, 24 months, so that you really never have to touch the thing again for 5 to 10 years other than unit turns.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes to raising money, right? Talk about doing it the wrong way. The right way to do it is to build relationships, show people deal flow, even if it's a deal that you're not going to do, even if it's a deal you made an offer on that you didn't get. Show that to potential private investors and say, look, if I got this deal, this is what we would have done. This is the offer, the potential offer that we would have made. This is what the returns could have been. If I find another deal like this, is this something that you might be interested in the future? And if it's not them, do you know anybody else?
Oh my gosh. Josh, you sound like you're one of my students. You sound like I've trained you well. This is exactly how you do it. This is exactly how you do it.
So I come from the financial planning world, right? And when I used to meet with people as a financial advisor when I was in my early 20s, I was 25 years old.
Who'd you work for? I
was with Northwestern Mutual and Robert Baird Securities. And then I was with a small private firm. And we kind of sold for a lot of different companies, both in the stock markets and the insurance markets and stuff like that. I did fee-based financial planning for a long time, charging clients for plans and asset-based funding. And this is
hey Josh, New York Life, right out of college.
There you go.
Yep, same thing.
So what we'd say, I'm not assuming that you're interested in any of these products. I'm not assuming that you're interested in investing back then in the stock markets. But I want to get together with you and tell you more about what I do, because now I teach my people, and what I do is everybody is a potential. Again, multifamily is a team sport, right? Yeah. So everybody's a potential client, because if they have no money. Again, I don't assume anybody has the money, but they always, if they like the strategy, they're going to refer you to people. They're going to introduce you to people, somebody that you might buy a building from. I used to do this with residential. Buy a property from, sell a property to, cheerlead for you, invest with you, just, be a center of influence. So that's really what it comes down to when it comes to private money. And once somebody becomes an actual investor, they're going to tell their friends. I mean, now with all the money that we manage over $40 million of private money, we own 2,800 units. We don't really go out and actively recruit capital because we're getting referrals from people all the time. It takes a minute to get there, but you start with a hypothetical deal. You start with a deal that maybe is a deal that you might have done. Maybe it's a 20 unit and say, here's a 20 unit. If I find a 200 unit, it's going to look just like this, just add a zero to all the numbers.
Right. And there's everything you said is absolutely spot on. Let me just add a little bit to it. And I think a lot of it has to do with our background, how we both came into this and how to speak to people. I say to people, listen, this is what I do. Do you know anyone that might be interested in hearing more about this type of story? So in other words, I'm not putting it on you. I'm not asking you to say yes or no. I'm asking you to help me. Help me find more people. And then they come back and they say, well, I might be interested in that.
What about me?
Oh, yeah, what about me? Exactly. Now, the other thing is, is throughout that process, like you're talking about a hypothetical, that's great. That's going to get the person into your system, into your funnel for deals. But then your funnel is always keeping the people abreast of what you're doing. Hey, we made an offer on this particular property. I remember that offer. It fell through, and here's why. And I'm glad it did. Next time, I will let you know. So when we were doing it that way, the very first deal we did, this is how we kept track of all our friends and family who were interested in the type of deal we were doing. When we finally got a deal past the due diligence phase, and we were going out to market to raise money, they were on board. They knew everything about it. They like, we've been waiting for you to do this. And it took us 9 days to close on that deal for all the money that we needed to raise. It was easy.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I have this 112 units. We made this offer, right? And we actually wrote the offer without a financing contingency. Ballsy, right? Ballsy.
Hold on. How long was your inspection period?
Well, the LOI, like they haven't accepted it yet. We're still negotiating. So, but we wrote it. We know we're in competition with some big boys out of New Jersey for this deal. And we know that the big boys from New Jersey have bought properties from the seller before. So we knew we had to make a competitive offer. So big earnest money deposit, but also like we're going to need $2.5 million down. Like I know I can go get that next week. Like I actually had a fundraising webinar yesterday on a small multifamily.
I got your email for it.
Yeah, $600,000 that we needed to raise. We raised $3 million yesterday, and part of that was just to kind of seed this next deal. Hopefully, we get it because we know that the commercial loan, we know we're going to get that. We know we're going to qualify. It's not recourse, the whole thing. So just to make our offer really strong, like you talked about. We've got to have these relationships built like you're talking about.
Exactly.
Relationships built in advance. So now we can go after a deal that maybe we would get boxed out of because this other company is much bigger than us and already has a relationship with the seller. So we had to kind of, we had to lay all our cards on the table, including removing the financing contingency. So we're excited about that. It's
okay. So hold on a second. Sure. Now I'm interviewing you because I just want So how long was the inspection period? And also what did you do anything special with the earnest money deposit?
So right now, not yet with the earnest money deposits, $100,000, basically go fully hard as soon as the due diligence period is over. But we told them we only need 7 days due diligence after we get the stuff from the seller. So we're really good at knocking out due diligence when it comes to the financial stuff, reviewing leases, reviewing the profit and loss, the ledgers, all of that stuff. We're really quick about that. But getting into the buildings and running through the units, we also told them, look, we only need to see 75% of the units, but we want you to sign an affidavit. This is when we push back on the sellers. We want you to sign an affidavit that the other 25% of the units are in the same condition as the other 75. And we'll knock out the 75 doors in less than 3 hours. Because I've got 4 guys, me, my 2 partners, and my rehab project manager. We each jump into a separate unit.
Yep.
We walk it. We're primarily looking for 3 things when we do our due diligence.
Hold on. Let me write down what will be my 3 things.
Let's see if we match.
Yep. Let's see. And then, my third one's going to be a tricky one. I know you're not going to get this one.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. The first thing we look for is leaks.
Water, number 1.
There you go. Leaks for sure.
And let me tell you something. Number 1, the leaks, because you have to learn what mold smells like.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Okay, number 1.
Number 2, we look for the tenant being clean or dirty. Okay? Because we're looking specifically at the tenant base, because we're going to try to bump the rents. We want to look at the tenants and say, are we going to keep this tenant or not? Because it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter if you've got a lot of money, not a lot of money, high income, low income. You can have a clean unit. You can keep your unit clean. And so we look for clean or dirty.
Okay, hold on. Number 2 for me was where. was like if I had to bought this property today and I had to turn this unit tomorrow, how much, what condition did this person leave it in? So I'm going to say that you and I are 2 for 2 right now. Okay, now here comes a tricky one. Number 3. Let's see if you get it right.
So number 3 was, we're talking more about CapEx, which is full turn, half turn, or no turn.
Okay.
So it kind of goes into your second one a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
We walk in because we already walked. We did a site visit just walked 4 units during the initial site visit, so we know what each unit mix looks like. Yeah. And now we've got a budget. We know what the square footage is, the LVP flooring, the paint, how big, the hardware, all that stuff. And we're looking for, is it full turn, half turn, or no turn? So can we get away with bumping the rents with no turn? Can we get away with bumping the rents? Dominic just got home from school. Hey, you got to go, buddy. You want to say hi real quick?
Hey, all buddy. Right. How are you? Good to see you.
My friend Charles. Want to say hi, Dom?
Hi.
Hey, buddy. Where are you? Where are you guys?
We're based out of Cleveland, Ohio suburbs.
Oh, son of a gun.
Yeah. All right, but I'll be done in a minute. So that's the third one. So clean or dirty, leaks, full turn, half turn, or no turn.
Okay, so let me ask you before I tell you what my third one is. How long does it take you to go through a unit now? Just like you're standing at the door.
Oh, I'll be done in a minute. It's like literally knock on the door if we're doing full inspection, maintenance, coming in, inspection, walk in. I'm looking at clean or dirty. We're going right to the bathrooms and the kitchens, looking for leaks.
Looking up in the corners for any yellow spots.
Looking up in the corners. I'm also looking, again, that clean or dirty. We're also looking for smoker, non-smoker.
Yeah.
Because a smoker can destroy a unit real fast. I was in a building that we're buying, but this one, oh my God, Charles, this one tenant, been there like 27 years, never moved out, was a smoker. Like there's the black, yellow.
It's disgusting how some people live.
Coming down, like, it's like, oh, dude. So we're going to have some.
Have you seen any hoarders yet?
No,
oh my gosh,
not really.
I had 2 hoarders. I had 2 hoarders that lived in the same building. Right? They didn't even know each other, but it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, I tell you something, Josh. But okay, so here's my third one, and this is the other thing is the lease. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I go around with the rent roll and I make sure that all people over 18 are recorded on the lease, and that if there's any pets in the unit, that we're collecting pet deposits and pet fees on the lease. I want to make sure
I like that one.
Yeah, so that's another one that I do when I go around and see them. But man, I tell you, there was one time I get millions. So I've been through over 3,000 apartment units. There was a time that I was walking through and the guy was walking down the street and the manager said, hey, we couldn't get into your unit. We're going to need to get in to see it just to take a look at it. Young guy, 26, 27, office worker, well-dressed, very well kept. And he goes, I had a party in my unit with a football game this Saturday. It's really not a good time. Because, listen, we just need to get in. It'll take us 2 seconds. We just need to get in. We went in this guy's unit. It was the most disgusting unit I've ever seen. He had about a foot of crap all throughout the whole place. And this was a normal looking guy. And you think he lives in this type of squalor, and you just can't imagine how some of these people do it.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So Charles, let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
And then I want to give my people an opportunity to, find your stuff and jump into some of the trainings that you're doing. Look at the wife back here hiding.
Like we can't
trying
see
to
that.
sneak in
Who is
to the
that?
podcast. That's what wife. Yeah. Lisa, what are you doing back here? For sure.
Oh yeah. We can see you. You did a nice try. It was a nice try.
Good try. So Charles, help me understand, when you start presenting a deal, or you start to talk about private money, how quick on average, again, this is a very general question, but how quick on average do you think somebody typically invests in a deal with you or one of your students from the time you kind of meet them, start warming them up, to the time they actually jump in? If you had people like jump in like day one, and then other people take like 5 years.
Yeah, no, people, it depends on because some people they take a little bit more time. And obviously if they're already real estate investors, no time at all. No time. Oh, that deal. Let me take a look at the private placement memorandum. And I'll be in. Tell me what I'm getting. Tell me how you guys structure the deal. They're in. It's the people that don't understand multifamily as an investment that take more time.
Right.
See, and the problem that new investors make is they go in there like, full of piss and vinegar, thinking like, hey, get my deal. It's going to be so fantastic. But you've never laid the groundwork for why multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when we were out there selling insurance and stuff, you're not going to sit down there and just throw the products at them. They need to understand, well, how exactly does it work, and why do I need it?
Right.
The same thing is true. And that's why you've got to start the day you start looking for deals, the day you start thinking about multifamily is the day you start building your investor database and cultivating those people and really working with them to make sure that when the time comes to pull the trigger, they're ready to go.
Absolutely. And what works well for us is when we have way more investors and we get oversubscribed, because then you kind of build this reputation of, oh my gosh, I've got to get on Josh's webinar early. Yeah. I've got to make sure if he sends out a deal, I raise my hand and reserve a unit early. I had multiple text messages last night from guys that said, hey, I got your invite. I didn't have a chance to get on the webinar. Can you send me the link?
The replay,
that is, unless you're already oversold, because they know that that's coming. And I'm able to tell people, because we are oversubscribed. We raised $3 million. We only had $600,000. The guys are like, oh, wow. What else do you have coming?
Yes.
So now instead of me in any sort of at all, I'm not at all like asking them for money, begging them for money. They're like, Josh, when are you going to have your next deal? Josh, when are you going to have your next deal? That's a great position to be in. You want to get there as fast as possible. And really it's about scarcity. So it's about kind of building up more relationships than you need, having more private money capital than you need. Then it also allows you to kind of adjust the terms down a little bit, ratchet the terms down in your favor a little bit.
As much. Yep.
Yeah, you have to give away as much. It's phenomenal stuff.
But I'll tell you, some of my most successful clients, I have one client who's over 6,000 units himself, and he does not even raise any private money. What'll end up happening, Josh, is you'll just get a stable of consistent investors, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
And once you sell a deal, those people want to come right back into the next deal.
That's right.
It becomes a lot easier. This business is hard at the beginning. The barrier to entry, most of it's psychological, is huge in the early stages. Afterwards, this is the greatest business in the world to be in.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Charles, listen, this has been an absolute blast.
Yeah,
I want to ask you one final question, which is really, if you had the opportunity to talk to your younger former self or your less experienced self, or one of our listeners who doesn't have your kind of experience or my experience, what would be the main, maybe one or two pieces of advice you would give them to give them some more confidence, give them a little bit more clarity, a little bit more of that kind of personal self-esteem to be able to jump in and do a big multifamily deal?
Okay, well, this is not just a multifamily advice. This is life advice. Just be confident in yourself. You can do this. The people who do this aren't rocket scientists. There's nothing special about them. They just decided they wanted to do it. And you can do the exact same thing. Anybody can do this business. I say that, but there are some people that will never be able to do this business. They just can't get out of their own way. Yeah. But if this is really what you want to do, you can do this. I knew very early on, I love multifamily and I wanted to be this multifamily investor. But early on, I can't do this for that reason. I can't do that. You can do anything in this business.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the key.
I love it. Charles, one of the things that gives me confidence that I try to kind of project out is, if you have a really good commercial mortgage broker, the guy that we use is phenomenal. He does a lot of the comps, and we obviously verify all that stuff and review it. But when you look at the current leases and the current situation, the current cap rate. You look at where it should be operating today if there's no loss to lease situation and it's operating at its full capacity. And then with CapEx, looking at what the future rents could look like and what that future investment look like. Numbers really never lie in this business, right?
No.
It's really easy to get comps with multifamily. It's really easy to get rent comps in multifamily. It's easy to see pictures on apartments.com or CoStar, these other tools and resources in multifamily. And for me, if I don't have a lot of personal confidence in this business, you can get it through the numbers, the numbers. So you can just absolutely tell yourself, like, I can do this. This is not that difficult. Think, if you can buy a duplex, you can buy a 20 unit. You're just adding more units. It's no different, really. The only regret I have is I didn't do the big 200 units and the 400 units and 700 that we've done. I didn't do those 10 years ago. That's my only regret.
Yeah. Oh, I know. 10 years ago would have been the right time. 12 years ago was not a good time.
Not a good time.
That's how fast it turned. But one of the things I teach people is how to understand a multifamily financial statement better than your accountant.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at it as like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be about numbers. Oh, I'm not good at numbers. I've never been good. No. The way I teach it, you will understand it. And I put up a trailing 12 financial statement, and I look at it and I say, how many people look at this and their eyes glaze over? I mean, the same type of person that doesn't even balance their checkbook. I said, okay, now watch what I do. And I cover up all the numbers. I said, don't worry about the numbers. All I want you to understand is what's the time element involved on this statement? What period of time is this representing? Look at the categories that we put the numbers in, because those categories tell the story. Yeah. I can tell you exactly what a day in the life is of that little old lady who's been running that property for the last 20 years, and whether she's going to keep her job when I take over the property or whether I'm going to can her the next day, just by looking at the trends in those categories. And once you learn those trends, you get this business. This business is so damn logical. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great way to say it. I love it. I think that might be the title of this podcast. This business is so damn logical. I like that one.
It is.
Charles, listen, if my audience wants to learn more about you, learn more about your Multifamily Investing Academy, your coaching programs, your forum, where can they get more information about your programs?
Okay, my coaching programs are only found now with my partner, Jillian Sidoti, at the multifamilywarroom.com. We're doing another virtual event in March. We only open it up. We only open it up twice a year. If you're interested, you come on to our executive council. But if you're looking to work with us directly, we only open up that avenue every March and October. That's the multifamilywarroom.com, and that's the best way to track us down.
Fantastic. Charles, listen, this has been an absolute blast. Getting to know you,
I knew it was going to be fun.
With you, sharing more stories.
I knew it was. I can't. We're going to do this again, and I knew this was going to be fun, Josh. I'm so glad we did this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today on Accelerated Investor.
Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
So there you have it, guys. I had a blast interviewing Charles Dobbins for the Accelerated Investor podcast. Man, he's a load of fun. He's got tons of energy and loves just sort of talking shop like the boys, right? Not really a super formal interview, just really having fun, talking about real deals, real strategies, things like the earnest money deposit, the proof of funds letter, bringing on a key partner, and recruiting private capital. I hope you enjoyed some of the case studies that we talked about, some of my recent cap raises that we've done. I also hope you enjoyed our discussion around confidence, right? You can manufacture confidence, or you can let the numbers do the talking for you when it comes to multifamily assets. Listen, if you enjoyed this interview, please share it on social media. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Leave us a rating, leave us reviews. Let us know how we did. Of course, I would love it if you gave me a 5-star rating and a personal review on YouTube or on iTunes. It means so much to me to be able to share this and serve you and have an impact on your investing. If you have any questions at all, or you love to get coached on how to build your portfolio, visit joshcantwellcoaching.com. And I would love to spend some time with you there, helping you build your portfolio, building passive income in perpetuity for you and your family for years to come. Hope you enjoyed this interview. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Hey, Josh here. And do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes. Okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're going to do then is every week we're going to pick our favorite rating and review, and we're going to send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So, again, don't forget to take a screenshot. Leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.